A woman and a boy have been seriously injured following a hit-and-run collision in Birmingham this morning. Kings Heath High Street was closed for most of the day following the incident. Residents say they've campaigned for years for better safety and tougher police action. Peter Wilson is there for us this evening. So, Peter, what's the situation now?
Well, the centre of Kings Heath has reopened tonight, but the police are still hunting for the driver of a car which allegedly was involved in a hit-and-run collision. The centre of Kings Heath closed off as a massive police investigation got underway early this morning. A woman and a boy struck by a speeding car on the pedestrian crossing. Both victims were seriously injured. The police say this was a hit and run.
The front of it was all distraught and the tyre, one of the tyres was literally all bulging out and the tyre was actually on fire.
A car was recovered by the police less than a mile from the collision. The driver made off. This horrific case has touched a raw nerve here in Kings Heath. Today's hit and run took place at exactly the same location that a 13-year-old schoolgirl, Hope Fennell, was hit and crushed by a lorry back in November 2011. The lorry driver had been using his mobile phone at the time that he killed Hope. Today's victims, a woman and a boy, were treated at the scene before being swiftly transferred to two separate hospitals. Parents from the local primary school were distraught.
My heart is breaking to hear this. I have children at this school, and I walk past over this road every single day with my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old, sometimes on foot, sometimes on their bikes. And this is where we live and we can't feel safe here.
The white bicycle by the pedestrian crossing is a memorial to Hope Fennell, killed 12 years ago. Campaigners have long called for tougher action on dangerous drivers.
There isn't a day that goes by when I don't go onto Kings Heath High Street and this crossing where I don't see Hope Fennell's bicycle and remember that a little girl was killed there on her bike crossing a road. That's been some years ago now and the situation hasn't changed.
What happens now? The police continue their investigations, but many say the police need to do more.
People race and cut through and misbehave in the way they use our streets because they feel they can get away with it. We have to start getting to a point of zero tolerance for this kind of conduct.
The police continue to have teams of officers in Kings Heath. Anyone with information is urged to contact them. Well, with me here on Kings Heath High Street is Matt McDonald from Better Streets for Birmingham. Matt, you're from Kings Heath. What are people saying tonight?
Well, I'm not sure I have the words to adequately describe the shock, the horror, and above all, the anger that people are feeling in this tight-knit community tonight. Many of us are young parents here. Many of us have children that go to the school just up the road. And at the time this awful incident took place, the roads would have been full of children on their way to school. You're also a doctor. You've seen at first hand what happens when people are victims of these types of incidents. What will be going on for the families concerned? I have indeed. Obviously, it's not something that I want to speculate on in too much detail, but going through a trauma like this is a horrific process for the victims and obviously for their wider families themselves. The victim, as I understand it, was taken by one of the pre-hospital services to hospital, so obviously was in a very bad way. In terms of specifically what's going on for them, I wouldn't care to speculate. What does your campaign group want now? What can be done? Well, we at Better Streets for Birmingham would like to see, in the immediate aftermath of this, a very visible, high-profile response from the police and from the council. We are living through an epidemic of these kinds of incidences at the moment in Birmingham. And we need an epidemic. There's obviously a great deal of concern, thoughts and prayers for the two people tonight in hospital. From Kings Heath High Street, back to the studio.
Peter Wilson reporting.